Hello, everybody. Reggie Time here again. Shortly after, well, not shortly, the next day after the absolute car crash that was Sky Poker yesterday. If nothing else, the video appears to have gone down well. It seems to have been popular. People appear to enjoy watching me get absolutely crushed, although I've had some kind comments, so we'll take that. We're going to be playing a short session of 15L Snap shortly. Not sure how long the actual play is going to be because I'm just playing till my wife comes home with a young lady we're supporting this afternoon. It's more of a just like bit of an update on how I've been going on Snap in the last week, and then we'll probably have time for 20 minutes or so live play afterwards. So this is how it's been going since last week. We've played 27, nearly 28 hours, and we've ran insanely well. We played just short of 5,000 hands, which isn't a lot, but I've mostly been one tabling, which is why the hand count is down. Um, we've won an absurd amount of money, $874.26, winning at 36.2 big blinds, 100 and 26 big blinds effective, which is really it's unsustainable. It's absurd, but we'll certainly take it whilst it lasts. I'm really happy with these stats here. Historically, my VPIP and PFR are tighter than this. I would usually come out at around 19, 15-ish with a 5% 3-bet, but I've been making like a conscious effort to try and play a few more hands, be more aggressive pre-flop, like have less calls in my continuing range versus opens, and trying to have more 3-bets. This number might be a little high. A very good player who I chat with, I assumed his 3-bet was going to be something similar to this, but when we discussed it, he said no, his isn't. I don't know exactly what his is, but he was surprised. Well, not surprised, that's the wrong word. I'm not sure what the word is. But yeah, he was like, no, he doesn't 3-bet that much, and he's a better player than me, so maybe I need to tone this down just a little bit. But I'm having fun with it, so we'll whilst it's going so well, we probably won't change too much. This number seems a little high, and so does this one, which tells me I'm probably running quite well in terms of like making good hands. And then this is the number I'm most pleased with. This one when saw flop of nearly 50. My one when saw flop historically is like 43 to 45 ish. So popping that up to nearly 50 tells me I'm doing quite a lot of things right. Although I am also very aware that I'm probably doing a lot of things that are theoretically incorrect too. Um, I've got my reasons for that. I've got my own reads on the population, and I'm trying to do some things that I think generally exploits the population. And at the moment, clearly it's working. How long that will work, who knows? Because as players adjust to me, then some of the things I'm doing will probably become way less effective. And also, some of the things I'm doing that I think's working well might only be working well due to variance rather than them just being generally good strategies against the population. So, although I'm super, super happy, I mean, I couldn't be happier. It's absurd how good the week's been. Um, in general, I'm not getting carried away because it could easily just be down to sample size and variance over such a small sample size. I mean, the graph, as you can expect, is looking super sexy. I mean, again, couldn't be happy with that. I mean, the all-in adjusted is going to be lower, of course, but still, if that was my actual graph, if the orange line was my actual graph, I'd still be fucking highly delighted with it, of course. Winning 1,200 buy-ins winning 1,200 buy-ins, winning 12, nearly 13 buy-ins in 4,500 hands, I'd have been fucking more than happy with. And then we have this one, which, um, again, I'm really happy with. We did have a bit of a red line blip here, but even if that was the general trend of my red line, I wouldn't be totally horrified with it. At the start, I was kind of like red line monster, if you will. I think it was going too far in some of the stuff I was doing, but it was working over a remarkably small sample size, and that's sorry, not that one, this one. That's borne out by this, as you can see, in like the first 3 days, my went to showdown was just 22%, 23% ish, and I wasn't winning very often when I got to showdown. Um, I think it was just being too aggressive in these spots a lot of the time, but we got away with it, especially on this day where we just managed to like win 6 buy-ins in 1,000 hands, which was fucking lovely. Then the last 4 or 5 days, my went to showdowns. I mean, that number there for yesterday is ridiculous. But again, we are talking really small sample sizes. But my one at showdown's been ridiculous too, which again is almost certainly variance, positive variance. So as I said, I'm not getting remotely carried away. This also tells me that we're experiencing some remarkably positive variance because we shouldn't be winning in every position. We should be losing from the blinds, and we are not. So this is obviously going to get worse over time for certain. These two numbers here, but this number is almost certainly going to improve. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see how things go. I have just been one tabling, which I think is really, really helping me, immensely, immeasurably almost. I think it gives me quite an edge over my fellow regulars in the pool. I think just being able to one table and just focusing intently on one hand at a time has massively helped me, and I suspect it would massively help everyone if they did it. But different people have different ways of playing. Some people are happy to have much higher volume, much lower win rates, etc. And I totally get that, and obviously that's a totally legitimate way to play. I also think what one tabling is doing, it's just helping me produce my A game on a far more consistent level. I think when I'm playing at the 20-0 session yesterday playing the Sky, yeah, I get it. It was insane. I ran bad. Situationally, it was a shambles, etc. But I still, like looking back on the session, felt a little bit rushed in some spots. Probably made some mistakes. Maybe didn't need to lose as much as I did. Certainly, the Ace Queen call down versus whatever the Maniac was called was probably very bad. And yeah, I think it was Saturday. So when would that have been? That's Tuesday. Oh, no, wrong tab again. That was that's today, yesterday, Sunday, Saturday. So I think it was this, or maybe I can't remember. Whenever fucking Doug Polk played Tom Dwan, anyway, was it Friday night or Saturday night? I don't fucking know. But I made the mistake of I was playing after midnight. The pool wasn't too big. So I two tabled. I had my HUD stats up as well, which I haven't been using, and I was also like watching YouTube and chatting in Discord, and that's when we had this kind of big. It was right here. We had the big fucking drop off in Redline, and that reminded me that I'm not good enough to play with distractions and then multi-table on top of that. And then I had my HUD running, which kind of made me try and react to HUD stats over a small sample rather than use a strategy I have been using of just like generally using population reads for my decision rather than trying to get too specific with HUD stats that probably aren't reliable. So yeah, I learned a lot over this spell here, and I kind of got a little bit put off by playing after this because kind of thinking, well, I've had some heat, and then these are maybe how my true results are in this game. Maybe we're just breaking even a little bit better than breaking even because it's not a soft pool. It's 15L snappy noise. I'm not saying it's super tough because it isn't, but it's not easy either. And if you take liberties with it, as I did on Saturday night, then you see that the red line dropped, the blue line flatlined. It just wasn't good. I kind of got lucky in some spots to not lose more than I did, or well, I didn't lose at all, I don't think, but like not to get my ass kicked basically. And we had some positive variance on the all-ins, etc. And I got away with it. And then Sunday I was kind of bored with it a little bit, didn't play very much, didn't fancy it. And that's why I went to Sky yesterday for the morning session, thinking let's just have a few days on Sky. But after I had this shitty session that was recorded on YouTube, that's the only poker I played on Sky so far this week. I decided, fuck it, Reg, get your concentration back. Let's just have a couple of snap sessions, see how it goes. And then yesterday, in just like 756 hands again, we went to showdown 40%, we won 60%. We had a really hot day in terms of making some good hands and getting paid. And that's kind of continued in a very short session I had this morning. So that's the update. Could not be happy with how things are going. Like 8 straight winning days, although one of them was just 55 cents. I'm really, really happy. Do I get bored of the game sometimes? Do I think they're a bit shit? Yes. Do I think they're improving my game? Yes. And more important than anything, I think that's improved my game. It's going to shout out to some of the Discord chat regulars who join me on hand reviews, mostly Craig and Dan, who've been joining me quite a lot. It's been super helpful. Those two guys are way more like theory based than I am, and we don't always necessarily agree on the lines I've taken. It's really good for me to talk to those guys, listen to kind of like what theory should be doing and like what I'm doing, and just getting a good understanding of how other regs think, because this is a reg heavy pool, is really helpful to me to try and find the exploits that I've always tried to find during my like fucking damn long time playing poker now. And yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, Dan especially, he's been super helpful. He's very humble. He doesn't seem to want to accept the credit that I've been bestowing upon him. But trust me, without those Discord talk and grind like hand review sessions I've been doing, this wouldn't have been possible. They've helped me out immeasurably, and I am, very grateful for them to it. And I think if you guys are in some Discord groups, maybe try setting up your own study like chat sessions. Don't just review things on like post a hand, wait for people to respond. It's not a very efficient way to like do peer-to-peer learning, and it's just not as fun. It's just not as much fun. It's not as friendly. It's really, I love the talk and grind sessions, the chat sessions. Even if maybe it's not always as useful as other times, depending on kind of the hands that you choose to take to them. Just getting to know people, just generally chatting about poker and that just talking to other good players, it just helps. It really helps. Just keep your mind in the game, keep you focused, keep you fresh, keep you always thinking about fresh things you might think about doing in your game, things you might think about taking out, things you never thought of that you might want to add to your game. All of these things, they are so valuable, and I'm doing plenty of these. I'm trying to do 2 or 3 of these a week. And long may it continue. People might get fed up of them and just stop doing them in the end. I hope not, because I think the guys that get involved in them find them really useful, especially players like myself who've got a lot of improvement to find. So yeah, I would highly advise you finding some friends and some groups of your own and doing some, but do try and do them with sensible thinking players. You don't want them descending into farce. You don't want just a bunch of equally moderate players just kind of recirculating bad advice to each other, because you're not going to get better there. You make sure that the people you choose to do this kind of thing with are going to help you, and that you're going to be able to help them too. You can't just be a one-way street. You can't just be you or me sucking everything out of them and then giving nothing in return. Is to make sure that you give as much as you take, or try and give more than you take. And yeah, you can have a really good experience with it, like I have. But I think we'll leave it there for the review bit, and yeah, we'll get on with playing some poker. For probably, I told my wife to try not to be back in till 2:30, which gives me 35 minutes. But whenever she returns, that is when we shall wrap the video up. Right. Does muting this mute the video? I don't really want sounds on. They're too noisy. And maybe it does. We'll soon find out, won't we? Vintage pizza. I'm not sure what would be a vintage pizza. What would your vintage pizza be? If you had like one pizza of choice that you could only eat anytime you had pizza in future, what would your toppings be? If PKR Power watches this, I know what one of his toppings wouldn't be, and that would be pineapple, because he does absolutely not agree with pineapple on pizza, which I think he's wrong. I mean, I don't go mad for it. I don't often get pineapple on pizza, but I think he's choosing a hill to die on there that he just doesn't need to die on. Anyway, we have 2 4s here. We may well have the best hand. I can't really check calls, so we're just going to probe here. Maybe ace high sometimes calls. Maybe he just folds a lot. People do fold a lot in this pool post flop. I've noticed that. There's a lot of post flop folding in this pool, which is something that I'm becoming more aware of since I've just been one tabling rather than 2 or 3 tabling. This guy is very, very active. This Pedrimnit is certainly not a nit, I can promise you that. Banana fish, never heard of him. Top pair here on the absolute classic dry board, King 9-4 Rainbow. Go off with an absolutely bog standard C-bet. And this 9, I mean, he's supposed to lead this 9 quite a lot on the turn. He doesn't. Don't think we're going to bet again though. We could bet again here for some value, but I think we're going to check back and then probably call most rivers. If he doesn't bet, then we're going to bet ourselves. He does bet, we have a pretty easy call here. Yes, A7, happy days. Chris Ship. He is the ITV News at 10 reader, isn't he? Is he the newsreader? Could be wrong. Try not to watch the news these days because never anything good on it, is there? Never anything good on the news. I was hanging around to maybe open this, but I don't think this is the guy we want to be opening wide into blind versus blind anyway, so probably wouldn't have. We'll potentially get our first 3-bet of the session in this hand. It's just a spot where in the past I've just called to try and keep the fishy guy in, but then you end up playing like a multi-way pot out of position and things just get tricky. So I've actually been like 3-betting these hands almost all of the time. That's one adjustment I've made to my game. Very standard for all of you guys, no doubt, but in my game it's something relatively new. We don't get a particularly exciting flop, but it's one we're going to want to bet most of the time. Pretty small, 1/3 pot or something like that. He could go even smaller maybe, and he just snap folds. That's a pot I almost certainly wouldn't have won in the past because I would have called. The other guy probably would have called 2 and we'd have just check folded to a C-bet. So that's something that's been working really well for me at the moment. I am a little bit anxious about putting videos out in these games because I do know some of the pool watch. I sometimes have people kind enough to chat to me. It's pretty hard to hold a conversation during a snap session, but you know, these videos, they get quite a few views when I do 888 ones. I'm pretty aware that there's probably people who watch, never comment, never lurk, and I don't want to be kind of giving too much away, but I also don't want to be too much of a fuckwit at the same time, and like overestimate just how many people are actually watching these videos. I'm not going to 3-bet here versus 3.5x. We're just going to call, and that is not the flop we wanted to see. Maybe we should just have 3-bet this hand. Anyways, we're probably going to lose this pot now. He checks again. I think I'm going to bet twice. He doesn't. He goes with a largish bet. There's nothing we can do with that hand. I think in these pools, or maybe in poker in general these days, it's just really hard. If you're just like the pre-flop caller, it's really hard to win. I've also noticed I've run a few reports, and when I'm the caller pre-flop, probably naturally, my win rate is significantly lower than when I'm the open risk or when I 3-bet. And also post-flop, I've noticed that when we skip C-bets, especially out of position, we're just hemorrhaging money, which tells me maybe I haven't got a good strategy for when I check out of position as a pre-flop raiser, or more likely it's just very hard to win when you are out of position and you check a street. So I'm trying not to. I'm just doing a lot more C bets, even on boards that don't really hit me and don't hit my hand on my range, and it's still been working better in my opinion than just checking and trying to look for spots to induce some bluff catches or whatever. So yeah, I'm doing some C betting in spots where it really doesn't merit it, but I'm doing it just because in general I feel it works better for me personally than checking and then trying to navigate post flop once I've shown some weakness. Just makes the spot feel a lot cleaner to me a lot of the time. So that's something I've been doing. Theoretically, is unsound, but in practice, seems to work quite well. There'll be some C bets I'm firing out that are probably just flat out losing. But there's still overall as a strategy, it's not losing as much as when I start trying to work more checks into my game. This player's quite a fun guy. It's Pee-wee. Been squeezed here. If this guy had a full stack, I would be slam dunk calling. The question here is, this guy doesn't have enough chips, but this guy's pretty bad. So do we call, because we're probably going to get in a multi-way pot with a very attractive hand with a very recreational player. Let's just cheat a little bit and see if we know anything about this guy. 36-15, so he's pretty fishy too, but he hasn't 3-bet once yet. I'm going to make a tight fold. Don't love that. If he had 100 big blinds, then it would have been a no-brainer. We'd just be calling. But it's the first time he's 3-bet. He's 3-betting off like a 70 blind stack. So when we do make the best hand, we just don't win as much. So yeah, that's why we decided not to call there. But that could be a mistake. That could just be a pure call there. Gonna go with the squeeze here with the king queen suited. Don't know anything about Lord of Bluffs. King queen offsuit, sorry, not king queen suited. And we take it down. Happy days. Hello, ladies. And we take it down again. Glad not to see the 4-bet there. Would have enjoyed seeing a call. 4-bet incoming wouldn't have been fun. I keep getting them. Every time I see his name, the fucking Jungle Book just starts running through my head and I start singing I'm the king of the swingers to myself. I'm not going to inflict that on you guys. You don't need to hear my bad singing of fucking... Is it Disney Jungle Book? I don't know. Is it a Disney film? Ah, fucked if I know. I'm going to open this if it falls to us. Hairy Bat probably won't let it fall to... Well, it probably will let it fall to actually because it doesn't open more than 50% from the button. But yeah, it's obviously one of our loosest opens from the button. We wouldn't be even contemplating continuing versus a 3-bet. What else I've been doing too, and I will do it again this session as well, is I've been rat holing once I get to 150 big blinds. My 150 big blind game versus other regulars is not sharp. And it's not really something that I've been looking to work extensively on over the coming days and weeks. Whilst I think rat holing is a cunt of a thing to do and I wouldn't do it at lower stakes. When I'm playing like kind of towards the top of my buy-in range in games that are the toughest games I play in, then yeah, I'm just willing to do it there. It's something I'm just willing to do. And yeah, if you want to judge me for that, then please go ahead. mean, I like playing deeper stacked post flop, but I think when I am deeper stacked, I make some pre-flop mistakes, assuming that I have greater implied odds post-flop, so I'll kind of defend more hands versus 3-bets when I'm 200 blinds deep or whatever, which of course you are supposed to do. But it's got me in trouble before, and it will likely continue to get me in trouble until I put some serious work into it, which again, as I said earlier, it's not really top of my to-do list right now. Do I want to open ace-8 off into one of the best rigs in the game? It doesn't matter anymore because this didn't make it for us. I mean, ace-8 off, probably a completely routine open for almost everybody, blind versus blind. For me, it is a bit more opponent specific. If I think the player in the big blind isn't especially aggressive or creative or good, I will open it. If I think the player in the big blind is probably a decent player, then I'm much less likely to open it, even though I probably should. I guess we're just going to bet small here 3 times and then fold to a raise at any point. Could value on ourselves here a little bit, but I don't mind that when we're just betting quite small. He donks the turn, which is kind of like weird. Bit of a fishy guy. I mean, I'm already not liking this. I mean, we're behind to 2 pairs. His draws have got good equity. We're behind to better top pairs. I mean, call to just fold river doesn't feel right. Call feels even worse. I'm just going to fold. Just going to fold. These games don't play aggressively post-flop very often, so if I'm now and again running into somebody who is, quite good, I mean, I'll soon find out. If this guy, I don't know anything about him, if he continues doing some weird shit, then, we adjust. But I'm going to stick with my population read for the time being and calling turn donk bets with kind of weakish bluff catchers. It's not my starting point against population. And that's another thing that like one tabling helps me with. I mean, maybe you guys don't agree with that being a fold there, but I gave it an awful lot more thought than if I was 2 or 3 tabling there. There's no way I'd have gone into the time bank. I'd have been like, oh, fuck it, call or whatever. And rightly or wrongly, whether I made a good or bad decision there, at least I was putting a lot more thought into it. And kind of thinking things out, and so that doesn't affect your confidence as much. I mean, I'm just confident in that fold. I'm happy with that fold. Whereas when you're multi-tabling, and then your confidence starts to get eroded a bit, you start to feel a little bit overwhelmed, and then that has knock-on in future hands. Because if you do call down there, for example, and you just lose, you're like, oh, I fucking knew I should have folded there, and then you're still thinking about that whilst you're playing other hands. It's one more distraction, whilst you're trying to multitask. I'm really a big fan of the one tabling. The problem is for some of you guys who play lower stakes, you're not going to want to be multi-tabling. Oh, I'm just going to fold here. You're not going to want to be one tabling 5-L or 10-L. It's just going to take too long to like build a roll. Whereas my poker goals are a little bit different than some people's. I mean, obviously, if you're playing 10-L wanting to move up, then it's going to be really difficult to like do that one tabling. Whereas I'm now playing at a stake where I'm happy that I can make the amount of money I quote unquote need to stop me from having to have a boss again. I quite enjoy working for myself with the care work, and I really enjoy working for myself with the care work and kind of working for myself in poker. So I want that to continue, and that can continue at 15L. If I was to keep my say 5,000-6,000 hands per week, at this stake, And even if I was only winning at, say, 6 blinds 100 long term, that would still be, getting up $200 a week, $800 a month. With my other work that I do, that's plenty. So I'm at a stage where one tabling, it's not holding me back from what I want to achieve. And if anything, it's probably helping me achieve what I want to achieve. So I'm happy doing it. I think you guys should maybe sometimes try it just to see exactly how much difference it makes to the quality of your play. But yeah, it's not something that I recommend for everyone, especially if you're younger and you're a gamer and you're used to making more quick decisions, like rat-a-tat-tat. It's something that hasn't suited me for quite a few years now, and probably just an age thing. Well, I think it's a mix of being an age thing and just not keeping up with. I mean, I think I'm catching up quite quickly again now, but for a long time, not keeping up with like modern poker trends, not really paying that much attention to them. I'm gonna go with a 3-bet here. Probably fold to a 4-bet. 4-bets are particularly common in these games, but people do defend with reasonable frequencies to 3-bets. So I think that's quite a nice 3-bet fold there. Because even though it's disappointing if he just like occasionally wants in a blue moon 4-bet bluffs or what have you, but it's just very likely he just had a better hand than Ace Jack suited there. Now we may well have had equity against that. He may well have been doing something like that with like pocket tens, pocket queens, things that we can like flop well against and do well against in position. But as I was saying earlier, I'm not really at the moment wanting to be doing an awful lot of calling people. I think just 3-betting. We'll get back to that in just a moment, what my thoughts on that are. 3-bet this with that open ender. Calls, we turn a pair. I think I'm kind of just giving up here, just going to try and just like realise my equity. I think it's very unlikely we have the best hand when he check calls on that flop. Now we might have the best hand. Oh, he leads. He leads for pot. Do we have a raised fold here? Yeah, I think we do. We have a raised fold. Oh, that's dirty, Sid. Nice hand. That is rude. Obviously, I had no issue with this line there. Very standard check call flop, and then, yeah, just one of those hands. So where was I at? Yeah, the raising pre-flop. I guess if you wanted to use like an old school way of describing it, you kind of just raising to see where your opponent's at. That's probably, in all honesty, one of my main reasons for doing it. You get the obvious side benefits of them calling with worse hands sometimes, them calling with hands that have similar equity, and then you just get to over-realize post-flop in position. So there's all those things too. But it's essentially a lot of the reasons why I'm doing like a bit more wider 3-betting is just to find out more about where my opponent's at in his range. What the fuck? I think I'm just going to fold here, but let's see. The first hand is played. I mean, tell me in chat. I mean, I'm not taking this spot, but tell me in chat, do you take that spot? Someone open rips 88 bigs under the gun. First time you've ever seen them play, you've got 2 8s. What are you doing there? Come on, chat. Nail your colours to the mast. Are you calling or are you folding? Well, jamming or folding. I guess it's the same thing. Yeah, let me know. Let me know what you want to do with that spot. I'm going to guess people are going to come down on sad folds, but who knows? Really looking forward to receiving my video from Triple Eight this week on my play for the week. I don't always get them, but then again, I don't always play on Triple Eight, so I'm not sure if it. I mean, I'm pretty sure it probably is a weekly thing, but I don't seem to have had too many lately, and I have had the odd time when I've played some Played some hands. I got one last week. Where I think I'd played that, or the week before last, where I think I played like 19 hands or something like that. We're going to go with an overbet here. He calls, which is delightful. I think we're going to go with a very large turn bet. Then we're going to shove rivers, assuming they're not red ones. He jams. He's got king queen. Beautiful. Beautiful. I'm going to set our next big blind, and we're going to because we're going to rat hole. We're going to give a shout out again to Dan, and we're going to take a quick look back at that pot, because this is like something I talked about with my new best friend Dan the other week about like flopping sets, especially bottom set. I think it's like I can't remember which one has brought it up. I think it was him. Because I think I'd bet, I think it was a hand, and I was in position, so this is different. And I'd bet pretty big, and he said he would just have like, just 2x pot there, bottom set, 2x pots kind of thing, And we didn't overly discuss it. It was kind of just a throwaway comment, which again is why I think these sessions are really good, because you can just even like little throwaway comments can do really lots of really good things. And he was like, he had overbet. And I had a hand yesterday that I showed to Dan where I'd overbet with the set on the flop. I'd overbet the turn. And then the player just freaked out and like just donk jammed the river, and we called, and he had like whatever, some shitty top pair or something. And then Dan said, well, actually, what I wouldn't do, I wouldn't overbet twice. He said he would overbet the flop and then just pot the turn, which is something I've taken on board and something that I did there. Maybe if we overbet the turn, this guy still just goes potty and calls anyway. But so proof that I do listen to you, Dan, and we did go with the overbet flop and just pot turn. Anyway, let's do some rat holding. This is this number. I did a £400 or $400 withdrawal yesterday because at the start of the day, my plan was to play on Sky for the week, so I just withdrew my account back to like $200, and then we've won $338 since then, which is nice. Because my intention this week wasn't to do this. After over the weekend when I had that 2-table watch fucking YouTube chatting Discord session, and it didn't go well. I kind of like, fuck it, just have a week of Sky Red. You've had your week in the gym, if you will, like playing 15 on Snap, working on your game. Let's take it back to Sky and see how things go. Then we lost 10 buy-ins in an hour, and I just wanted to play some of this again, but off our artificially short roll. And don't think I'll be withdrawing again anytime too soon, because the exchange rates are pretty shit. So we like keep withdrawing, and then if I want to stay in the games, which I wasn't sure I wanted to, even though I'd won a lot of money in them last week, I still wasn't sure I wanted to be in them, which kind of is a bit fucked up, really, I guess. I can't just be like to-ing and froing with exchange rates. So probably going to. I don't think I'm ever going to keep more than like 800 on here. I think 800 is plenty for one tabling. And if I did have like a pretty big downswing, then there's a good chance I probably wouldn't want to. So say, for example, I'm one tabling and then I had a $600 downswing one tabling. There's a good chance I probably wanted to take a few weeks away from the game anyway and play on Sky instead. So yeah, I think just keeping 800 or so on and then making sure it doesn't go any bigger than that is going to be fine for me. Still got money on Sky, which probably not intending using whilst this is continuing to go so well. I don't like keeping too much money in sites. I mean, historically, I've never kept more than, like 15 to 20 buy-ins in any site. So when I was playing like 20 on Sky back in the day, I mean, I had, if I had 400 quid in there, it was kind of like, start withdrawing a little bit, Reg. We don't need to have that much on, better in your bank, etc. But given the new UK gambling regulations, which may end up restricting the amount I can deposit going forward because you need to be able to prove your income, and I don't have a particularly robust income from employers. So they'd be like, oh, shows your bank statement, shows what you're earning, Reg. All right, yeah, so you do like about 12 hours a week care work, do you? But you want to make a £500 deposit? No, you're not doing it. Probably limit my deposit to like 30 fucking quid or something. So I need to keep more on the site now, which I'm not super comfortable with, but it's not the end of the fucking world either, I guess. Still no sign of Wi-Fi. We're 40 minutes into the video. So that's good. We've got to manage to produce another 40-minute video. Because as soon as she gets home, I'll be ending it. I don't like to play poker whilst we're supporting people from home, even though the young lady today theoretically isn't my responsibility, because she's my wife's I hate using the word fucking client. Don't know how to describe. Don't know what word to use. But she's like my wife. Basically gets paid to support her. But we do all this between us. And when I support the people I support, my wife obviously involved, and vice versa. So I do not want to be playing poker whilst she's here. So probably when she comes, take her out for an ice cream, something like that maybe. And I'm going to come back, and I'm hoping to do a hand review session around 4 o'clock. Pretty easy call here with the sevens. It's going to be a pretty easy fold when Foolish Guy c-bets. That's a big side. I'm pretty sure right now this pool is lousy, but we're doing okay in it. I mean, seeing all these guys coming up time and again. If we have a quick cheat and look at the HUD, I'm going to presume we're not going to see too many fishy stats. So, like I said, this is why I don't have my HUD running, because if I saw these, if I was like playing now and I saw those stats, I'd be like, fuck it, play later, Edge, fuck it. And I'd never get volume in. So I'd just rather be ignorant of that to an extent, and just at least not have it like permanent reminder on the screen. I mean, if I need to, as you can tell, it's very easy just to pop stats to someone I don't know. It's a really close spot where stats might sway me one way or the other. Then no, I'll pop them up. But I'm aware that the games aren't great. But I'm also aware that I think we probably still do okay in them. 3-bet fold the Jack 10 suited again. In the past, this would have been like flat 100% of the time for me. I'm just not continuing with flats very often at all now. He called pretty quickly. He can have still a relatively wide range of hands here. Pocket pairs, hands that have us like high carded, etc. We're going to start with a small c-bet with the 8 of spades. We're connecting quite nicely with that with the Jack and the 10. If we get raised, then it's an easy fold. We do turn a pair. And I think I'm going to block this turn here and then just check back rivers. Rather than check back now and then just call if he donks big on the river. I'd rather take this line, get a little bit more value for our hand maybe. And then he raises and we probably have a very easy fold. But I would rather take this line than just check back. Having bet big on the river and me just call anyway. I think this line gets more value when we're ahead and it prevents us from paying off larger bets on rivers when we are behind. So we're going to hold there. And my current wife has just come home with Ashley, so we're going to sit out next back blind and call it a day. And there we go. So that is the end of the session. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Any comments, questions, leave them below. And as I think he's Elliot Kettle, he's been chatting to me quite a lot on YouTube lately. Elliot Kettle will contest. as we'll prove, sorry, or demonstrate, or fucking God knows what he'll do. I do respond to comments unless they're not really worthy of a response because they're either trolly or whatever. Yeah, so please do get involved with the comments beneath the video. But we'll leave it there for now. Take care, everybody, and bye-bye for now.